Hi guys, I'm Alex again. Here's my FTC coding guide for future members, or I don't know. Yeah, let's just get started, man. All right, so what you first want to do when you're FTC coding is you want to set up your environment. So the main coding platform we use is Android Studio, and this is just where you uh, just change your code, do everything, download this stuff. Yeah, so you can literally just go to this link over here, or you can literally just search it up on Google and you'll see like something like this, and you should just install it for your specific computer. Say you have like a Windows, just download it for like Windows. Or if you have or if you have a Mac, then yeah, download it for Mac. Next thing you want to have in your environment is the FTC GitHub if you're FTC GitHub or the team's GitHub. So at the start of the year, someone is going to have to, or someone's going to have to open up and clone the FTC GitHub, which is like right over here. You can see in, I believe it's FTC controller, you have a lot of sample code. Um, yeah, you can see all these sample codes down here, which has a lot of useful yeah, of course, examples of code that you can just take a look at, and then you can just use this as like kind of a baseline to learn off of, to learn like generally how to code. But I'll show a general teleop code later in this video or in a separate video. I don't know, kind of lazy. All right, after this person has like uh cloned the FTC GitHub and then made their own changes, they would need to create their own GitHub for the team's GitHub, so everyone can work on like the same GitHub and the same files and all the same sample autos and teleops right here. So for this year, this year's for decode from the year 2025 to 2026, and you can see all the stuff is like very similar to the FTC controller ones. So we have generally the same kind of files. It's just a copy of it. And then you can see team code right here, source, Java. You just gotta go keep on going down. And you can see all our code right here. The auto tell you, and it's all sorted into like all generally sorted into like their own files. But yeah. All right. And an important thing, whoever owns the GitHub repository, you need to make sure you share everything to everyone who's a coder, or in general, just like share to everyone, because why not? Everyone can participate. So what you do is, if you are the person who owns this GitHub repository, you go to settings and then click on collaborators, and then you add people here by username, full name, or email, and you can see all the collaborators right here. All right. Now, and generally, why this is important is because GitHub allows you to generally store like code and like current versions of your both past and current versions of your code, and allows you to branch off into separate branches to allow different people work on different things. So say like one person wants to work on a autonomous program and another person wants to work on a teleop, but they don't want to mess up like the main branch, or they're not sure if like this will work. So what they do is they will create a separate branch for them to make edits in, and then you can merge it back onto the main branch if the changes are good. And I'll probably discuss that later into this presentation. All right, some other important things is that you should also install Git, which just allows you to commit and push your changes into GitHub, either to the main branch. Generally, you shouldn't push to the main branch. It's whatever, or into just generally the GitHub. Okay, whatever. And the other next thing you might want to take a look at or download is Rev hardware clients, or you could just paste this specific code into your web browser while you are connected to the control hub's Wi-Fi. An important thing to note is that Rev hardware client, it only works on Windows. So if you're using a Mac computer, you're out of luck. And yeah, you can just generally find the the steps here. If you have any other questions, you can probably just like text me or send an email. I don't know. I'll try to help out. And then what this is generally used for is that if you so in FTC competitions, you need to change your control hub and your driver hub to be like a specific name. I don't exactly remember what it's called right now, what the requirements are, but like you definitely need to change them into something specific about like your team name and something. So if you need to change your Wi-Fi name, or you want to change your Wi-Fi password, that is where you do it. You would do it. You would use Rev Hardware Client or this specific numbers, and yeah. Oh yeah, and if you have a new control hub and a new driver hub, I think the default password is usually just password, just for ease of yeah. All right, let me show you how to clone a repository. This is how you clone a repository. So I have Android Studio open right here, and what you want to do, literally just click clone repository. Make sure you have Git installed, by the way. And what you want to do, paste in the GitHub URL right here. I already pasted it in, and then you just click clone. Okay, and then you should just open it up. You trust it, yep. And then, yes, yeah, that should be it. Oh yeah, you probably have to wait for this for the Gradle to load. So just be patient, and then yeah, you can access all the sample code right here, or all our current code right here. No, it's in team code. Sorry, but here, yeah, in FTC robot control, you can view the external files right here. So it's still loading, but like you can see all the sample like teleops or autos in here. Then you can look at our team code like down here, Java, and then yeah, you see like our autos and teleops. Yeah. Right. So now everything is loaded, and let's just say you wanted to change something, and then you wanted to upload that change onto GitHub, or this is what you call committing and pushing. So let's just say, yeah, I made this new comment. Here is a new comment for the coding guide. And this is going to push to the main branch. You can check what branch you're up here. So we're pushing to the main branch. And generally, I would not suggest you push a lot of stuff to the main branch, because this is like where you keep everything. This is where you should generally keep your finalized competition code, where the code that you're going to use in competition and the autos you're going to use for competition. But let's just say I just want to add this small comment. What would you do? So you can click up here. You can also type in the commands on terminal on into the terminal. I can try to show that probably later. But what you can do, Android Studio has like easier ways up here. You can click if you click commit. So what commit does, it saves it to your local computer. So if I click commit here, I save all these changes into this local right over here. So let's just commit. Let's just say not, and let's just say added comment for the coding guide. And what I want to do first is first commit. You can commit and push if you're confident, but just you should generally just commit first, just to save your changes, because unless you're like certain that your changes are correct, then you can do commit and push. But if you're uncertain about like these changes, just press commit. So it's now committed. So now you can see that it has changed and everything is in the recent. And now let's just say you're confident in your changes. what do we do? Next thing we do is we push. Uh, Generally, I mean, if it's warnings, you can generally ignore them. I think it's usually just like um, formatting errors. So you can generally move uh, unless you see like a red squiggly line, that is a major problem. You want to fix that first. But if it's like a red squiggly line, so like right over here, it's generally fine. You could change it, but it can take a lot of time. But let's just push. So you can see you can push this right here, or to push our commit into the main branch of the GitHub. So let's just push anyways. And you can see it's pushing right here, and you can see it push to origin/main. So let's just see in the GitHub. Let's see. We are in the main branch. Yeah. And then you can maybe see, hopefully, added comments. Yeah, you can see the comment right here. Let's see. Let's go search for it. 1 minute ago, right over here. And you can see the comment right over here. All right. Let's just say, all right, in a previous, a few seconds ago or a few minutes ago, I generally said you should generally not do a lot of your work on the main branch. You should do stuff on two separate branches because, like, you're not too sure. You don't want to mess up the competition code and stuff like that. So what you can do is you can create your own branch, and how I'm going to show you how to do that. So you can go up here and you click on new branch. Let's just say this is coding guide branch. Let's make that here. And then, so we're now in this new coding guide branch. And let's just make a new comment. Yup, that is me. And now let's just commit and push this new comment for a new branch. That's cool. All right, and just commit and push. Let's commit anyway and push. Just ignore everything, and then we should just push. Should just wait for that. And then if we go to the FTC GitHub, we can see, if we refresh our page, there's now 14 branches. You can see, and you can see it, the coding book guide branch. And then you can see that new comment. Let's take a look at it. Okay. You can see that update right there. So this just allows you to work on like separate things. You can allow multiple coders to work on separate different things without messing up the competition code. Yeah, that's great. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly just briefly go over like both TeleOP, Auto, and some other stuff, but I'll probably go into an in-depth explanation in another video. So for TeleOP, yeah, you can just rename your files using up here. So in like every single you normally in every single FTC file you can see this at teleop, or I think it's at autonomous for autonomous code, and you can change the name, and then you can also group it into a specific place, and that will just show up onto your driver hub, I believe. And so what you generally want to in teleop, you want to initialize all your servos, motors, cameras, additional classes, and then yeah. And the important thing is try to organize your code into separate methods after you're done testing. I'll just probably make this a different guide. Yeah, I'll just review it later in a different example. Okay. For auto, we've used pedal pathing and Roadrunner. For decode specifically, we have used pedal pathing. You can find the differences in this website. I'm not gonna read over it. You can read it by yourself. And you also have a pedal pathing web visualizers. This can help you visualize like where stuff goes. And then both of these things generally follow a similar pattern. So you have the first step is to tune your constants for your weight, acceleration, PID. So that's gonna be the process where you generally like, or at least in Roadrunner, you the robot will keep on moving up and down on the field, and you have to adjust it so that, or just like take down like numbers and then put it into like the constants file. And then after you're done tuning, you can create functions for your, make sure you create functions for your intake, outtake, and movements. And then both of these will, both pedal pathing and roadrunner, also you need to create a path slash action. Paths are for pedal pathing and actions are for roadrunner, I believe. And this essentially you define, you assume the, how it works is that you pedal pathing and roadrunner assumes like the field is like a coordinate plane from like starting from like 0 0. I think or they could be at different places. But okay, anyways, you can essentially, based off of this coordinate plane, you can define like start and stop positions, and then you can tell the robot to either go in like a straight line, you can tell it to strafe, or you can tell it to go in a curved line. And I want you to be prepared for a lot of testing. If you want a very good robot or a high scoring robot, be prepared to do a lot of testing in the autonomous portion of the game, because in high level competition, the thing that ultimately probably sets a lot of teams apart is your, how good your auto is. So if you want a high scoring auto, be prepared to do a lot of testing, and it's going to take a lot of time. But if you want a very good robot, it's going to require a lot of practice and testing. Yeah, and I'll just go over a sample auto probably later in a later video. All right, I'll probably make this another video as well. I showed you the general steps of Git in this guide before, but I'll probably go over it in a later video. And some other things, other important stuff to mention. So, important thing, reuse your code from online. You reuse code from online or from past previous years. So for a lot of like the TeleOP for this year, a lot of it was based off of code from like a few years ago. I think when I just like copied code from my first FTC team, and then we've just kept on using this over, and we've kept on reusing kind of this same general logic for like the past like 5 years. So make sure, don't reinvent the wheel, okay, you guys. So keep the codes safe, and reuse it when necessary, and just adjust it if needed. And another important thing, use Google or AI for when you are stuck. Oftentimes, we get stuck onto um, we get stuck on many different problems, and sometimes we just need another helping hand. And of course, you can use ChatGPT or any other LLM. A good thing to note is that if you have a Nova account, you can sign up for Cursor for free. And Cursor is just another like a chat bot, but it can get different models. So if you sign up to Cursor using your Nova account, you can get Pro for free, and that gives you access to like different versions of Claude and ChatGPT, and you can just paste in your code and then ask like what's wrong. And then other important things is try to make parts of your robot into different separate classes. So for example, we have our drivetrain, which is includes all the movement controls into one separate class. I think it's called decode drivetrain in the GitHub. And you also have your separate teleop for blue teleop and red teleop. And then this just makes it a lot faster and more, it's easier to just create new classes as well, and it's just generally more organized. And final thing is you just use telemetry for debugging, and for debugging, but actually avoid having telemetry during the actual competition, because it will take up resources and it might slow down your robot. So only use telemetry for debugging, and then the day before the competition, make sure the code has the telemetry commented out or just completely removed. And yeah, that's it.